Hello, and welcome to 2025. How about that? The first 2025 episode is here, and coincidentally, that also aligns with me having my podcast for how many years now? 2020, 2021, 2022, 3, 4, 5 years. Holy shit, that's a lot. And I've officially been an entrepreneur now for 9 years. So the beginning of January always highlights this really special time for me because this is when 5 years ago and 9 years ago, I dove in deep. And I feel like I'm in this phase of my life where I'm going through the same things, growing rapidly at a really quick pace. I'm feeling really aligned. And I think 2025 is going to be a year of massive growth for me, especially because of all of the things I've learned in the past couple of years, because, oh boy, have I made many mistakes over 9 years of entrepreneurship and 5 years of podcasting. So in today's episode, I want to walk you through some of those lessons that have kept on coming back and how they might relate to you as either a starting or a scaling entrepreneur. And I hope to inspire you with my own fuck-ups. Okay, let's go. Hello, and welcome to Fail to Win, the show where we love to make mistakes and learn from them so you can turn your passion into profits and live life on your own terms. I'm Amy van der Putten from FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode with simple strategies every Tuesday. I was kind of in doubt, do I make this episode about all of the lessons from the past 9 years, or do I make it about the lessons from the past year? And I will say I've made a lot of lessons and mistakes episodes, so I will kind of hone in on everything from the past year. But what drove me to actually record this episode is that I think there's a lot of negative out there about entrepreneurship, especially in Belgium, where I'm from. A lot of people are like, hold on 1 second. I was going to film myself as I was recording this. Hold up 1 second. Well, that just looks terrible, but we're going to do it anyways. Can't have enough video content. So I think especially in the Belgium scheme of things, there's a lot of negativity about entrepreneurship. Taxes, the Belgian establishment, it doesn't really make it easy for you to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. But on the flip side, I think that sometimes as entrepreneurs, we forget how many advantages there are as well to entrepreneurship. And I think talking about all of the negatives also holds a lot of people back from taking a leap. And I got my tax number and all of those things back in 2016. And in the beginning, it's very, very daunting. And I know that that's where a lot of people are stuck. They kind of also want to take a leap, but they hear so many negative things that they're afraid to go all in on themselves and to start their own business. So today is kind of like a celebration of entrepreneurship. I'm currently in Dubai with my boyfriend and my family, and I'm enjoying. I've been enjoying some time off last week. You know me by now. I record these episodes in advance, so I'm time traveling as I'm recording these. And I think it's wonderful that my business allows me to do this. And I think there's this big thing that we often hope to achieve certain things. We hope to achieve making a lot of money, impacting a lot of people. And I don't know, for me, one of those dreams is having 1 million podcast downloads, or I don't know, profit goals. Whatever those goals might be, we often hit those goals just in a different way than we think we will. And we are so often waiting for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing that we forget to see what we already have. And as my business went through some massive changes in the past 2 years, at a certain point, my finances weren't doing really well. I wasn't feeling that great. I was very much looking for my vision and what I was going to do as I was rebuilding everything. And it was one of the hardest exercises I've had to do mindset-wise. But at a certain point, I realized as long as I was going to be in a negative mindset, I wasn't going to be able to create any positive from it. So I started gratitude journaling. I started working with a therapist more and more on my mindset. And I got to this positive place before everything was positive, but because I was already grateful. And one of my big insights from the past 2 years was that I kept waiting until I used to tell myself, like, you can get anything you want. And my realization was, I already have everything I want. Do I want more? Yeah, I want more fun clients. I want more profit. I want more travel. I want to travel more in business class, fancy hotels, all of that stuff. I love those things. but I'm already really, really happy with what I already have. So my mantra shifted from I get anything I want to I already have everything I want, and to just be very present and very, very grateful for everything I already have. So basically what I want to do in this episode is welcome you into the possibilities of entrepreneurship, show you that there's also a lot of positive, being able to travel, being able to choose your own hours. These are all things you get to do when you have your own business, make your own decisions. I think it's just that a lot of people become an entrepreneur to be their own boss, and then they forget to be their own boss and they pretend like their business is the boss. So maybe this is just like your little nudge. And that's definitely something I had to learn. So that's maybe my first lesson from the past couple of years is I was always in meetings and I didn't like it. And I was doing things I didn't like. And I felt so much people pleasing that I was afraid to be like, oh, on Mondays we're not going to do meetings, because I was afraid to disappoint my team, or I was afraid to change my programs because my clients might not like it. Or I don't know, there was just some things that I was stuck on because I was people pleasing too much, until I realized I am the boss and I'm responsible for, the paychecks that need to get paid every month and for the continuity of this business. So the big shift for me was that I actually started behaving like the CEO and not just the coach or manager or whatever, but I really stepped into my CEO role and I put the business and myself first before other people, which in turn made everything better. And that meant I changed my calendar, I started planning ahead, I stopped asking input from everyone on everything, and I dared to rely on myself and my own instinct again. So I think that's one of my biggest lessons from the past year, is just like, be the fucking CEO, be the boss, not the employee in your business. And I think that's something every entrepreneur needs to be mindful of. And the second thing that's very much intertwined with that I changed is I noticed that often it has to do with the people pleasing as well, as that I often was postponing on certain decisions because I was afraid that people weren't going to agree, or I wouldn't get my team to agree with me on what we were going to be doing, or I didn't want to, overwhelm other people, or I wanted to make all decisions together, and decisions just kept getting postponed. And I think failing to plan ahead often has to do with this. So this is officially the first time ever I have a full plan for 2025 already rolled out up until the first week of 2026. So our entire sales plan is there. My vacations are planned in. My webinars, I know when I'm going to be hosting them. I know when my sales are going to open, close, when I have coaching calls, when I'm driving rallies with my dad. And that would have been terrifying to me in the past. That would have made me very claustrophobic. But what I've noticed in the past couple of years is you're going to do stuff anyways. I'm going to drive the rallies with my dad. I'm going to host the webinars. But if I don't plan ahead, then it's really going to overwhelm me in the moment itself, and I'm going to make the wrong calls. Whereas if I plan them in ahead and I make those decisions and I dare to call the shots like, hey, that's when I want to take a break midsummer, so I'll do webinars a month before that, for example, it's going to give me so much peace of mind when it's there, because I won't have to rush through decisions and, lose ROI on it. Everything you fail to plan, you're going to lose ROI on it. If you plan ahead, it's always going to work a lot better. So I think if there's one thing I could tell Amy from a couple of years ago, is to not be afraid to plan ahead and make decisions. It's still easier to change decisions along the way. If life happens, you still get to change the dates of the webinars and the stuff, but it's going to be easier to change stuff than to just sit there every quarter and think, what the fuck are we going to do next quarter? And this is not to say that I didn't do any of that in the past couple of years, but I never did it for a full year, knowing that the programs I was planning on selling and hosting were actually going to be the programs I was going to be selling and doing, because there was always like things that surprised me. And now it just feels really good that everything is set in place. If you want to plan your year as well, I made a digital planner actually that I used for myself to plan out the entire year, and I handed that over to my team with a loom, and I'm going to gift it to you as well. This is a template where you can see the entire year. It's an Excel file. You can download it, use it for yourself. You can just like make a copy, and I included a tutorial on how to use it, and it will show you all of the 52 weeks of the year and how you can like insert your birthdays and peak sales moments and what your targets are for each week. And it's really going to help you gear up for an amazing year. So if you want that, just DM me the word 2025 planner on Instagram. So 2025 planner, all one word, on my FastForwardAmy Instagram, and I'll send it over. You get it from me for free. Okay, so my third lesson, I think, and obviously, again, I have about a gajillion lessons. I just picked a couple as I was prepping for this episode that really came to me. I think the things I've shifted, people pleasing less, planning ahead and making decisions more. And the third one is having more of a focus, or actually also the reason why we had such a great year, because we rebuilt our business from the ground up. A year ago, nothing we are hosting today existed. Not a lot of people notice. Our business club did not exist. Our masterminds did not exist. We started rebuilding from the ground up in Q1 2024. We still did a very nice profit this year. I am having more fun than ever in my business. And I feel in flow and aligned, and I look forward to my work days. And I believe that some of the things I'm tapping into in this episode are the reason why we did that. So my third lesson is, split focus. I still sometimes have split focus. I have multiple brands, multiple businesses, but I really got better at focusing, like on a week-to-week basis, day-to-day basis. Every day I write down my goals, top things I want to accomplish. And I see this often in a lot of entrepreneurs actually who can't scale versus the ones who have scaled. The difference between those who can scale and those who can't scale is that their focus is split or not. So I'll often see entrepreneurs program hopping from one program to the next, to the next, to the next, having lots of different projects that actually don't move the needle. A lot of people lose themselves in side projects, in small ebooks, extra programs, order bumps, stuff like that. It can be anything, or setting up a podcast when they're actually not doing enough sales, and just daring to focus. For us, this is our business club right now. In the beginning of the year, for example, we didn't have any members yet. So we had sold a couple of spots to clients who were graduating from a previous program. And then we had this whole thing. We didn't even have a platform. We didn't have an app. We didn't have a program. We had 3 things I drew in Canva. I was like, okay, we have a business club with 3 levels. Who wants in? And we decided, okay, how many members do we want to get in this year in each level? And just having that focus and knowing like, okay, this is our priority, it helped us to shift everything to that. So in Q2, at a certain moment in April, I had this idea for a program. And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great to teach people how to set up their first digital product and start selling it? But I was like, I really can't add another project to the plate. Like, we have this business club and everything. And then because I knew what the focus was, I was like, holy shit, I'm just going to add this challenge to my business club and everyone is going to get access. And that probably tripled our client size in our membership, because I knew that the end goal was growing the membership, growing the business club. What a lot of people do is they have one thing and then they get a different idea and they're like, oh, I'm going to do this new thing. And what I always try to do with my millionaire clients is like, okay, so you can have different ideas, but how can you include them into the main thing you're building so that you don't get distracted and you're not trying to light 4 candles at once and not getting anything lit, basically. So I would say audit your current projects. Do you know what the most impactful end goal one is? And can you make your other projects aligned with that so that they contribute to that instead of distracting from that? Is something I would definitely urge you to do. And obviously that also starts with just setting your goals for the upcoming year, which we'll talk about a lot in the next episodes. My other big lesson, that has been a lesson that I talked about last year a lot. Go and check out those episodes. But to this day, it is a really big one. It's controlling my costs. We grew really quickly as a business. I hit my first $1 million in revenue in 2020, and we've been hitting that and more ever since. But what also happened is our costs increased even when, for example, our revenue went down because we were reformatting the business. And this is something that I thought I knew what my costs were, but you have multiple decision makers. There's a lot happening at the same time. You're focused on revenue and clients and less focused on costs. And that costs me a lot. I always say there's 2 ways to increase your profit. Either you make more or you spend less. And I spent a full year on decreasing those costs in 2023, which was not a great year for me financially because we just pressed pause on so many things. And then we also had to cut so much in our expenses because it was just getting out of hand and we were losing like scaling margins, which goes to say like we were spending a lot of money, but the ROI was just not there. And now with a smaller team actually and with less costs, we actually have a far higher ROI that's going to continue to grow in the upcoming year. And what that meant for me is just, I was always focused on numbers, but I got a bit lazy and I wasn't focused enough anymore on the costs because I was used to it just flowing in. And if there's one tip I could give any growing entrepreneur is that revenue is far less important than your profit. So make sure that you are keeping an eye on your profit. Hey, this is a really quick interruption with a surprise for you. I promise you're gonna love this. I was just in a conversation, actually a power hour, with a client in my mastermind, and we were going through her strategy of how to scale her 6-figure business to 7 figures this year. And I asked her what she wanted, and she said, yeah, I want $1 million, but I also want more time with my kids. I want to stop working evenings and I want to have more energy for what I love doing. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's list out all of your targets. We did exactly that. And then we got to work on the key elements she needs in order to grow her 6-figure business to a 7-figure business this year. And I applied my million methods. Now, we worked on this for a little bit over an hour. And at the end, I was like, well, this was really valuable. Why don't I put this into a training to share with my audience? And as you are here on a podcast, I want to offer this to you for free. Now, know that working with me costs $10K for a day. The fact that I'm offering this to you for free is quite a glitch, and I am going to delete this after a while. So if you want my million method training, there is only one way you can access it. It's by going to my Instagram, FastForwardAmy, and DMing me the word method. If you do that, I'm going to send you my quick 24-minute training where I map out exactly how you can grow your online business from 6 to 7 figures this year. So go to my Instagram, FastForwardAmy, DM me the word method, and I'm going to send you the link to this really, really exclusive video training. Okay? Bye! I would say every day or at least every week, every month, but I would say just like as closely as possible, keep an eye on your profit because revenue means nothing if your costs are sky high. And this is not something you focus on once in a while. This is something that as a CEO and founder of your business, you are in charge of. And then, there's a lot of lessons. I created a podcast episode at the beginning of 2024 about marketing changes I was going to be making. Definitely go and check that out because it was a great episode and I did do all of those things and they worked fabulously. But right now, I'm less into the whole marketing changes and all of that. I just know I'm going to have to continue with the vision. But if we look at mistakes from the past and lessons I'm taking with me into the upcoming year, there's also something to do with my team. And I touched on it in the beginning of this episode. But I think in the past, you start your business and you have a vision and then you let other people chime in. And I learned to let go of a lot of ego and to have people involved in the vision and everything. But at a certain point, I stepped away too far from my own vision because of the people pleasing and because of learning how to lead and you don't know. And what I've learned in the past couple of years is that it's my job to lead the vision and to pave the way. So what I've been doing more and more, which has been working really well, is I involve my team in the vision, but I already kind of know where we're headed and I involve them in decisions and planning and the how, but I already kind of map it out with them or for them and then I involve them in it, but I don't spend hours and hours and hours in long ass brainstorm meetings anymore about what are we going to do, where are we going to take the company. For me, in the size of my company, that's on me and they need to know where the flag is planted or what the vision is. And then we can figure out the how together, but the vision needs to be there. And this might be different for other people, but I think for most startups like my company, this is one of the biggest tasks you have as a CEO is be very clear on the direction on where you're headed so that then people can make a decision if they want to join you there or not. And don't lose sight of it. Don't let someone else's vision cloud your vision. So a way I practice this for myself when I'm unsure if something is something I actually want to do or not. Let's say a team member says, oh, wouldn't this be a fun idea or a fun product? In that time, you might be thinking, oh, we could add this to the business. We could do this because they could run it. Ask yourself, if this team member were to fall away, would you still be behind this project, either to run it yourself or to find someone new to run it? If the answer is no, it means that you're people-pleasing and you're just doing it for that person, but it doesn't actually fit the vision you have of your business. For me, at a certain point, when I was feeling really low in my business, I wondered, do I want to fire everyone? Do I want to start over? Do I want to run my business by myself because of the amount of responsibility you're carrying as a boss all of a sudden? And I literally asked myself those questions. Would I be open to doing that? And then I realized, apart from the fact that I love my team, I realized that my vision was I want to create really big events where I get to inspire a lot of people, that I want a community, a place where entrepreneurs can come home. And I realized that I just need people in order to do that. So for me, that also implied that I wasn't going to fire my team. We did shrink in size of team members. And as we're going to be growing again in the upcoming year in terms of team, we're going to be growing in a different way. Where I used to spend more team resources, for example, maybe on marketing help, we'll probably spend more resources on coaching help because we're going to be increasing in clients and stuff like that. So a lot has changed, but it was also because I asked myself, or I dared to ask myself the right questions. And I think this is something we often have as entrepreneurs. There's this thing we repeat, like, I could just stop it all. Or what if I fire everyone? Or what if I just quit and go and work for a different company? If that is something that is popping up in your brain over and over again, I want to challenge you to actually ask yourself that question. Would you actually quit everything and go and work for someone else? I sat down with myself 2 years ago when I was feeling really low and I couldn't see it anymore and I was crying and disoriented, and I was like, okay, so would I actually? And then it dawned on me, I would actually never. I would never quit what I'm doing. I would still do this probably without getting paid. I would still want to be helping people. And I would never work in someone else's company. And I know that to my bones. So I told myself, Amy, if that's not something you would ever do, then stop saying that to yourself. Then stop having that on a loop in your brain. You should not be wasting even 1 second of your energy on that thought. You need all of your energy to make this a success, because success is inevitable and this is the path you're taking. And once I got out of that victim mindset and I just decided this is what I'm going to be doing and I'm going to make it a success, I don't care how long it's going to take me, it shifted everything because I got back into a position of ownership. That was really, really big. And I was just thinking of something else actually that I wanted to share. It had to do with my event, obviously. So this made me think of something else, is that I was holding myself back. This is something that changed a lot in the past year, is I noticed that I was holding myself back a lot. I talked about this in my LA episodes back in April and May. You can find those episodes. I noticed that I was holding myself back, visibility-wise, but also events. And there was a really big moment where I sat in the audience of a big theater room in LA. And I sat there and the world's best speakers were on stage. And I sat there and I was getting really motivated and inspired. And at the same time, I was looking at those speakers and I was thinking to myself, you know what? The stories they're telling are not that special. What they're doing is not that special. I mean, it's cool, but it's not like I couldn't do it with some practice. But I was sitting there, so I thought, okay, Amy, just be really, really honest with yourself. What's the difference between the people on stage and you? And it dawned on me, the difference between the people on stage and me is that they're on stage and I'm sitting in the audience. And before COVID, I had this plan, like I want to organize events and retreats and stuff. And then, that got sidetracked and then I never got around to doing it. And it became this future thing, like, oh, one day I'll organize events, one day I'll be on a stage, one day I'll write books, stuff like that. And it just dawned on me, like, one day is today. I got to make it today. So I flew home, sat my team down, and we're like, guys, we're organizing a really big event. And we did it in 8 weeks, and there were 300 people in the room. And I think it was one of the most fabulous days of my life because I did it. So I think I turned one day into day one. And it feels fucking incredible. This year we hosted 2 big events, 2 retreats with clients, 2 workshop days. We welcomed over 400 people into our new business club. Everything we're hosting today, all of our programs are new. We didn't do any of it a year ago, and it's all because we just took really big action that felt really aligned, and I dared to listen to my own voice again, and I dared to look fear of failure in the eye. And I said, what are you really afraid of? With the visibility in the event. And I was really afraid that people weren't going to like me or weren't going to like what I was doing or criticize me. And I felt like I was always trying to form the narrative with videos, with my storyline, with my brand. Like I was trying to fit the narrative so that people wouldn't hate me. But so back in April when I was in LA, I talked about it with the people I'm in a mastermind with. And they told me like, what if the lesson is not like finding the perfect brand story so that people won't hate you? But what if it's all about you accepting that some people aren't going to like you? Just accept that there is going to be criticism, accept that not everyone is going to like the things you're doing. And I really sat with that and I accepted it. And I think that's honestly how I've grown so much in the past year is I got okay with not pleasing everyone. My team. I lost people on my team. I got okay with not everyone agreeing with my message, with criticism. And I got okay just doing things and feeling fucking terrified, but doing them anyways. And in a lot of ways, this past year feels like it was a rebirth of my business. And now I am more in love with my business than ever. And I'm like tearing up as I'm saying this, but I'm so, so grateful for this business I've built. And I wish I could tell other business owners like you to not give up. But I'm 9 years in now. And I think this is the first year where I can truly say, it's been a while. I don't remember, I made money and I was having fun and everything, but there was also a lot of stuff going on. I wasn't organized or I was overwhelmed or I was stressed or whatever. And right now I'm like, I am genuinely in love with my work and business every single day. And if you're currently not feeling like that, you can get there. It just requires a lot of honesty, breaking through patterns, and not giving up. But you can actually get there. So if you're one of the people who listened all the way here, maybe write down what you're currently not liking in your business. Make a plan. So I already referenced my planner, but I've also been talking about my focus wheel. I have it here on my desk, actually. I'm doing it with my boyfriend beginning of year. My focus wheel is this exercise where you can really look at what am I not liking in my life right now? Health-wise, personal growth, relationships, but also finances, maybe your career. If you want to take my exercise, I would really recommend it if I were you, because if you're currently feeling like I felt 2 years ago where you're like, I fucking hate everything, we can change that, but it's going to start with you being honest with yourself. So go and download my focus wheel. Just DM me the words on FastForwardAmy on Instagram, focus wheel, all one word, and I'll send it over. You can print it out. It's a really genius exercise. And of course, my masterminds are nearly sold out. I'm taking on a few more clients. If you've been scaling, you've been growing, and you are sometimes in tears and you don't know if it's going to get better and if you're ever going to, have a Christmas or a New Year's where you get to say, I'm not overwhelmed and I love my business and you want some help with that, I'd love to be your coach, because I'm actually taking on a few more one-on-one clients, not a lot, either in my mastermind or separately. But my calendar and capacity is limited because I want to always, I'm not one of those coaches who's just like selling a mastermind for the big numbers. Obviously, I make nice money from it, but I also want to make sure that I hold the capacity for the clients who get in. I answer every single question. I review things. I'm really there to support you. So if you want that type of support, DM me, because my capacity is very limited because of the support I offer. I'd say just DM me VIP. And then I know you're interested in a VIP offer, and we'll set up a sales call or like an intake call or whatever you want to call it. And we'll just chat, and maybe I am the right coach for you in this new year. Okay. Let me know. And to recap what we talked about today. I cannot recap it because I had a preparation and I added multiple things. So I'm going to have to transcribe this episode before I can recap it. Haha. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And I referenced a few episodes. Go and check out the episodes from beginning of January last year. They were really good. Go and check out the LA episodes from April and May. They were also really good. And there's a new episode every single week, every Tuesday. So talk to you next week. Bye.